The Dogman Cometh. What up, y'all? I'm Belil Black. Welcome to The Dogman Cometh. Tonight, we'll be talking about Dogman in Texas. And I've gotten 3 stories off of the Dogman map, the sightings map by the Cloaked Hedgehog. And you should really check that map out. It's interesting to say the least. And these stories are, a couple of them actually, are pretty grim. Especially the last one that I'll be reading. And we should really, try to spread this information around as much as possible. Because, knowledge is power, and you want to be as powerful as you can, I guess. Especially when it comes to these creatures. Trust me on that. So, let's get into it, and let's sit and have a little fun reading these stories. Now, this first story takes place near San Antonio, Texas, and no names have been provided to my knowledge. And it's one of those grim stories that I was talking about. Alright, it goes like this. Hours passed, and darkness began to fall. The old man, the story goes, began to worry and have second thoughts about sending his inexperienced son out into the woods alone. While he had hoped the reason the boy had not yet returned was because he had yet to make a kill, he began to have a sinking feeling deep in his gut that something was wrong. Deciding not to wait any longer, the rancher rounded up some neighbors and they made their way toward the wooded area near Skull Crossing in search of the boy. What they found upon arriving there is the stuff of nightmares. The search party happened upon a monstrous, hirsute creature hunched over the body of the rancher's son. The beast was in fact in the act of ravenously devouring the boy when discovered. The men got off a few shots at the monster, but it bounded away at lightning speed. The quote werewolf, as it was dubbed, was described as standing between 8 to 9 feet tall and covered in dark hair or fur. Members of the search party described it as being some kind of unholy combination between a wolf and a man. Could you imagine that? And that's every parent's worst nightmare is their child, dying before they do. And, getting that sixth sense feeling that that something's wrong with your child, and then walking up on a scene like that, I really don't know what to say about it, honestly. I couldn't imagine it. Couldn't imagine what somebody would go through seeing their child, being devoured by a creature that they never once could have imagined existed in the first place. It's something to make you think. Now, the second encounter and story takes place in Killeen, Texas. It's about these dogman type creatures stalking the woods around this man's property or wherever he lived. The story goes, it says, what would be worse than being 4 foot away from a dogman, being 4 foot away from 6 of them. Abe Sias lives in Killeen, Texas, in a place called Elms Grove Park. He used to enjoy going for walks in the woods at night. Not anymore, though. Not long ago, a strange series of events caused him to swear off going into the nearby woods after dark. Now, in episode 53 of Vic Cundiff's Dogman Encounters, Abe Sias talks about the night he found himself alone in the woods with 6 dogmen, as well as several other unnerving things that have happened in the woods nearby. Now, if you listen to this show, you probably won't look at your nearby woods in the same way again. Now, people, you should really check out Dogman Encounters with Vic Cundiff. Especially, this episode's really good. It's episode 53. And, I mean, every episode of his show is really, really good. And, he's the reason I started learning about the Dogman in the first place after my encounter. And, you should really check it out. It's really worth the time, trust me. I think that, you learn a lot from that show alone, not to mention the other shows that are out there, and you'll really enjoy yourself. Now, with this last story, I don't really have any name. I don't think a name was given, and if it was, it wasn't to my knowledge. So, I mean, at least I didn't see a name with the story. But it's an interesting story nonetheless. It takes place in Marshall, Texas, and it's a really interesting story. And it goes like this. It says, as a young child, my sweet old great-great-granny Lee from Homer, Louisiana, used to tell me about the Wolfman of Marshall, Texas. She said she had seen the beast herself as it attacked a neighbor's pig. She swore on an old family Bible that what she saw was not man nor a known beast. She said it was a man-wolf and could be nothing more than that. This beast man-wolf, my dear old Granny Lee often described as people actually seeing what was a half-human, half-wolf. It has been noted and told that they were over 6 foot tall when they stand, that they have large yellow-orange eyes and long white sharp teeth and a blunt long snout. His face is always not quite a man's and not quite a wolf's. Though some report they are covered with a full coat of hair and others tell of the coat being sparse and patchy. Though reports sometimes differ, the common factors are that the werewolf's face was always seemingly flat, blunt, and yet pointed and very grotesquely long. The man-wolf of not so long ago was often encountered along Stagecoach Road. This, of course, is one of the most haunted hot spots in all of Marshall. Others say it was Dead Woman's Road, or Sudbury Street, as it is now known. This werebeast animal, or as some call it, a dogman, was known for slaying a sheep or a cow where it stood in the blink of an eye. They say the thousands of chickens they kill could feed the whole state of Texas for a year. And don't forget the many stories of them killing possibly a man, woman, or child or two for good measure. The old stories around here you will hear most often is of poor old Mrs. Ethel Briggs. She was a lonely widow woman whose husband and young son was reportedly outright killed by this wolfman creature. Ethel's husband used to raise all the normal things it took to survive the daily life of the time. Then one day he found where something broke into his many chicken pens and killed his livestock or carried them away. He then found chewed up pieces showing real signs that they were being killed and eaten. He set out to trap and kill what he thought was a large coyote or mountain lion. Ethel's husband knew, what he had to do. So he went out that night, and as the story goes, he never returned. They found his foot with the toes chewed off the next morning, laying by the front door. They found his left arm missing, 3 fingers and half a thumb near the old barn. His head was by the creek, missing its nose, ears, and tongue, and of course his lips were chewed off, and the area of his cheeks showed deep, large punctures and tooth gouge marks. And the very next night, her youngest boy was taken before her eyes. He was the red-headed one who set off looking with his mother for the rest of his dad's chewed up remains to bury on that cold February day. The very next morning he was found, at least a large part of his upper torso, just a mere 5 miles away, and the sheriff was called in to come and investigate the death. Poor Mrs. Ethel said she had seen the beast when the town sheriff came to call, and that she had buried only the 3 large pieces of her husband's carcass behind the great field he used to till. And she went on to say that she and her 4 other kids had found them scattered around the property. She said what she saw was not that of a man, and not that of just a mangy, rabies-infected dog. It was more than just very large, and it walked like a man with a strange, apparent slight limp. She also stated and noted that it ran off on all 4s with her husband's left leg in its mouth. That story is grim to say the very least, but it also, should show you, or at least make you think about how dangerous these creatures can be if encountered. And I'm not saying that every dog man that is encountered by someone is out to eat you or out to kill you. I'm just saying it's likely. It's better to be safe than sorry. And I'm not saying go out and hunt these things or shoot them, because hell, if they're not bothering you, leave them the fuck alone. I mean, would you go out and shoot a bear that's not bothering you in the least just so you can say you shot it? Well, some of you would probably, but I can't agree with that. You should never kill anything unless it poses an immediate threat to your safety and well-being or to those around you. And I mean, who knows what these dogman creatures are? I mean, who really knows? At this point, all we can do is speculate. And, to speculate, in my opinion, is just the beginning stages of wanting to know, wanting to get the real knowledge, the real information. And it's out there somewhere. Who knows who's going to find it? Who knows how it'll be found? But at some point we're gonna find out, and we're already starting to get there, people. I mean, ever since Vic Cundiff started his show, and the Dogman Encounters radio, things have started rolling. The wheels have started rolling. Things are starting to fall into place, and now you've got like Brenton Sawin, Mysteries to Search. Dogman Diaries with Danielle Stedman. You've got Dogman Stories, Dogman Files. I mean, there's a lot of these, a lot of these shows out there, a lot of these channels out there who want to get to the bottom of it. And one day somebody will. One day somebody will learn what's actually going on, and hopefully there won't be too many deaths involved to get that information. Hopefully there will be no deaths involved. Hopefully nobody's hurt at all. But you get what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I guess that's the end of this. Hopefully I can come back next time with a little bit more than a little bit of information, not just these encounters, but even these encounters can teach you a whole lot. Anyway, my name is Belil Black. Thank you for joining me. Take it easy, my friends.